Good morning. I believe my words on the floor certainly reflected my entire opinion, point of view on these matters. I'm happy, though, to answer any of your questions about any of this.
What made you change your mind 3 weeks ago, and how concerned are you about the perception of that? Some may see this as, you've gone back on your word.
I didn't go back on my word. I made a recommendation to my colleagues that a leave of absence was sufficient. And as I explained out on the floor, the fact that there's now been a third incident made me reconsider that position. Look, I'm humble. I say without any hesitation that sometimes, circumstances change and you change your mind. And that's what I did. I never have met this individual, but, one of the things that I think I said very clearly today, while I strongly believe and maintain that the vast majority of my colleagues do their jobs honorably and honestly, and I run an ethical institution, the fact of the matter, when this has now happened 3 times, or at least 2 times, and then the right situation, is a different set of facts, I want this institution to look inward. I think that's appropriate. And thus, we are going to cancel legislative session. April the 7th, I mentioned. My staff has told me since then that there is a very large contingent of Armenian Americans coming to the Capitol that day to commemorate the Armenian genocide. So we may have to look at that specific date. But I'm going to cancel a date of session, and we are going to do an office-by-office inventory, as I expressed, and I think that's appropriate.
Why not an expulsion?
Happy to explain that. I've called for both Senators Yee and Calderon's resignation very forcefully. I've said it, I'll say it again, leave, please. They choose not to do so, and so then we're confronted with, I suppose, an ethical dilemma of our own, which is, do you respect the Constitution, which says that people are innocent unless and until proven guilty? And to expel them before they've had their first substantive hearing in court would be satisfying, and it would be popular, but it would be contrary to those principles that form the cornerstone of our justice system in this state and in this country. Yeah, I didn't say this on the floor, but I'll happily say it now. Look, the Constitution is very clear that the legislature has no authority to suspend a member without pay. I'm going to introduce a constitutional amendment. I am introducing a constitutional amendment today that would have to go on the ballot in November of this year that would give future legislatures the option of suspending a member without pay under these kinds of circumstances.
Could you comment on Senator Wright and just the fact that some of your colleagues and even some constituents still feel, we've heard your argument, but still feel that he should be expelled because he's already had a trial?
I understand the argument, and I respect it, although I disagree. Excuse me, I'm not done. I wasn't done answering this one. I'm sorry. I'm happy to answer everybody's questions. 2 allegations deal with gross corruption. Senator Wright's is a residency issue, and we pointed out before there are other members in both houses, similar situations and circumstances. One DA chose to prosecute. That was his right. The jury has, in fact, spoken, but Senator Wright has a very quick, very soon, motion to set aside the verdict before the trial judge that conducted the trial. And to expel him now would be irreversible. I'll reiterate again, if the trial judge upholds the conviction, in the middle of May, Senator Wright will have to resign or be expelled, period. Yeah.
So, Senator Yee, under campaign finance rules, is allowed to use money from the Secretary of State campaign to pay for his legal defense. Do you think that is acceptable? Do you think that's something that we should look at again?
Yeah, I think that's something that we ought to look at again, and something that I will take that I think we ought to take a look at. Look at I innocent until proven guilty, but I wish he would leave, and spare this proud institution having to be associated with any of this.
Do you think you created an incentive for him not to resign by putting the prior members who faced allegations on a paid leave of absence? Why would Senator Yee resign and forfeit his pay when there was a precedent set that he could maintain it?
Because I was very clear and frankly just as angry when the Calderon indictment went forward. But I came to the same conclusion. I urged him forcefully to resign. I wish he would leave. He won't do so. So then the question for us again is whether or not it is fair to expel a member who has been charged with gross corruption but has not had their first day in court. And so I conclude reluctantly, because it would be both satisfying and popular to expel those two members. I conclude reluctantly that what is fair in the circumstance is to say they don't come back to this Senate, period. And neither one of them, let's be honest, neither one of them are coming back here to cast a vote again. They're both termed out at the end of the year. They're not coming back. You know, people have said, why don't you expel them? You know, I want to make this point. A lot of talk about our supermajority here, right? The supermajority. I would argue that it would be politically advantageous for us to expel all these members, not just because that would be popular, but because Governor Brown could in fact call a special election quickly and we could fill these seats before the end of the session. That would be politically advantageous for the Democrats to do. Obviously, choosing not to expel the two of them because I can't get around, and my colleagues can't get around, the fundamental American principle that you are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. So what I'm calling for with Yee, in terms of the resignation but no expulsion, is consistent with what I called for with Calderon, and I do it reluctantly. I'd like to do the other.
Can you speak about your ethics review? You talked about
Yeah.
7 and what is that?
Well, I did, but I just stepping back on the date just a little bit because I was, again, informed that we have hundreds of Armenian Americans coming to commemorate the Armenian genocide. So we're going to look at that date again. But I'm going to cancel a day of session, and I don't want the standard ethics training that we do once every couple of years for staff and members. Instead, we're going to hire whoever we have to hire, who have expertise in these matters, and I want them to have personal, detailed conversations with each member and each member's staff to review the rules, to talk about where the lines are, to talk confidentially about any situations that they deem to be problematic, and to reinforce the ethics of the House, and to make it very clear that whoever you are, if you're a staff member, if you're a member of the public, and you see something that is troubling to you, we support you and expect you to come forward without retribution and report what is troubling you. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, Laura. Well, I mean, look, I felt it was important to say, and I said it, I don't know if I can say it better than that, and then I said it in there, but we have a system in this country that is awful. People running for office, people who hold office, have to raise money in order to get elected and stay elected. And they have to raise money from the very interests who come before them and ask for their support or opposition on legislative matters. It's a bad thing. And yet, it is the only system that we currently have. Why? The Supreme Court said very clearly that political speech is speech and that you cannot restrict amounts of money that are spent on campaigns. And we don't have a system of public finance. I mean, and so maybe this ignites another real discussion about replacing a system that forces candidates for office to raise money from people who have interests before them. Not to my knowledge, no. As far as I know. Anything else, everybody?
What about gun legislation? I mean, in the didnt investigation, that's all over the FDA.
Well, I authored the major assault weapon ban last year. It was passed by the legislature. The governor chose not to sign it. So we've moved aggressive gun legislation through this, through both houses of the legislature, and we'll continue to do so. All right? Yes. Last question. Yes. As far as I know, this is the first time a member has been suspended. All right. I thank you all for your time and for allowing me to express the seriousness of this matter with all of you and with the public. And again, I'm not the least bit naive about what people think and what people feel. I'm just going to do my damnedest in my remaining months to make sure that not only do we produce on behalf of the people of California, but we do all that we can to restore this great institution's integrity. I thank you very much.